Hey there. Welcome to Mike's Collection, episode 280. I'm Mike. This is Casey. And the part of my collection that I'm going to be talking about today is some of my new Action Force figures. Now, Action Force is a line of 6-inch military figures, like G.I. Joe compatible. They are produced by a company called Valaverse, which is owned by this guy, Bobby Valla, who was a former Hasbro employee who worked on the G.I. Joe brand. I've done a couple of videos on these in the past. It started as a Kickstarter, which I backed a couple of years ago. And then there have been 3 waves of figures, as well as a couple of convention exclusives here and there. And I think I've got one of everything thus far. So if this is your first time seeing Action Force figures, go back and check out some of my other videos. But today, me and Casey are going to talk about just a couple of random, I guess we'll call them exclusives that have come out in the past few months. I've gotten these, it's just 3 figures that I'm going to talk about today. I've gotten them over kind of a period of time, maybe a month or 2 apart for some of these figures. But, I wanted to wait until I had enough figures to talk about that would warrant doing a video. So, the first one is it was a Valaverse website exclusive, and I'll provide you a little bit more detail on that once we flip the camera around and take a closer look at it. And then the next 2 were different convention exclusives. Now, they were supposed to be exclusive for attendees of those conventions, but as is the case with a lot of these con exclusives, there are leftover figures that don't sell at the con that are available on the retailer website. So that's how I was able to get a hold of these other 2 figures. So, I guess that's all I really need to say as an intro. I wasn't even really planning on doing an episode here tonight. I was down in my little toy room just taking some photos for my Instagram. And then Casey came down and hopped on my lap. And now I'm kind of stuck here. So after just sitting here staring at my wall for a few minutes, I thought, well, maybe I'll shoot the intro to my next video. So there you go, Casey. You want to say goodbye before we turn things around here? No? Okay. Anyway, so let's do that now. Let's take a look at my new Action Force figures. So this here is Covert Ops Condor. And this figure was only available on the Valaverse site. Now, it's kind of interesting how you were able to acquire this figure. So ever since the line began, Valaverse has included on the packaging for all of the figures released in the first 3 waves and even the past convention exclusives, every packaging comes with action points with the little dotted line. You're supposed to cut and save your action points for future promotions. So Bobby Valla, when he had first launched his toy line via the Kickstarter, he said that the boxes were going to have action points, but even he did not know what type of promotion he was going to run in the future. But the action points are based off of the old, the points, it's escaping me right now what they used to be called, but all the old vintage G.I. Joes used to have points that you could clip and save. And then there would be promotions every once in a while, like send in X amount of points and you get a free Cobra Commander figure. Send in your points, you get a free Doc figure, things like that. So he wanted to kind of pay tribute to that whole sending in your points to get a figure or something. And I always thought that was really cool. We didn't know when it would see the light of day. Like I said, 3 waves had come out already, and I don't think we had any news yet on what the action points would be used for. And then he revealed this guy. So Condor is the leader of Action Force. We got the first Condor figure in the Wave 1. So here's my Wave 1 Condor. And so you can see he's got a very militaristic look. He is armed and ready for battle. A very cool figure. Anyway, so this is the same character. You can see that he uses the same head sculpt. So he still has that kind of widow's peak haircut. Although this one, you can see he has got kind of like a 5 o'clock shadow here. He's not cleanly shaven. So really dark stubble there on his chin, a little, under his nose, and kind of up the cheeks there a little bit. This guy here, none of that. He was clean shaven, as you would expect for a military man, I guess. But this here, some people have referred to it as vacation condor or whatever, but or undercover condor. But yeah, the final name on the packaging was covert ops condor. So yeah, he is undercover. I think trying to infiltrate one of the enemy squads. There's a whole backstory to Action Force, where the United States has been broken up into different colonies, and then you've got the good guys, the bad guys, then you've got like the Swarm, which is kind of a whole other faction. I won't get into all that now. Chances are, if you're watching this video, you're probably already familiar with it, because every action figure comes with a file card. So usually it's on the back of the box. Like, I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit, but the next figure we're going to talk about here, you see that you've got the action points and you've got the file card, and it's all on the back of the big box that these figures usually come in. This guy here, so he came with a file card as well, but it was just loose in the packaging. And this figure also did not come with any action points. In fact, the box was extremely simple. No frills here. Covert Ops Condor, Action Force logo. Other than that, just a blank white box. So when you open that up, the figure was in a baggie. You got the file card floating around loose. And then he had very few accessories. You can see he's holding a gun. He also came with a bunch of different hands. And that's it. Now, a lot of the standard Action Force figures, like Wave 1 Condor, he came with a whole bunch of stuff. So he's got like guns, he's got extra clips that go into the guns. You can see he's got a knife that goes in his sheath there. He's got another pistol that's holstered on here. And he came with a bunch of extra hands and stuff as well. Removable vest, lots of accessories. That's kind of one of the calling cards of the Action Force line. This guy here, very few accessories, but that's because he was a promotional figure. Now, I should say he was not free with the points. I think they asked for 20 points. So that would mean that you probably would have had to purchase 10 figures prior. Because most figures come with 2 points. Now, there have been a couple of exclusives, I think, that came with 3 points on the box. If you buy a weapons pack, which they do sell on their website, which is just a little box full of different guns and knives, I think those have 1 action point. So I suppose you could have bought 20 weapons packs as opposed to 10 figures, or some combination. I happen to have quite a lot of points because I have bought the first 3 waves of figures. So it was no trouble for me to snip 20 points off of my boxes and send them in. Now, I know a lot of people did kind of complain about having to do that, because a lot of collectors like to keep their figures in the box, and having to cut a hole in the box definitely kind of would bring the value down and kind of piss some collectors off. And there was a little bit of a debate about whether there should be an alternate method for people to purchase the figure. But that all happened after I ordered mine. I had no problem cutting the points off of my boxes and sending them in. I forget exactly what the price was, but it was 20 points, and I want to say $15 or $20 US as well. So not free. A standard figure, off the top of my head, I want to say these guys are like $30 US. So for him to be, 10 or 15 or whatever, he was discounted, but you did have to send in those 20 points as well. Anyway, so let's talk about him. So he's got the same head. These are all, well, I want to say they're all reused parts, but they might be slightly retooled. So the head is definitely reused, just with the newer paint job. I do like this head better. I still don't think he has quite nailed these digital prints on the head. They still look a little weird to me. Like these Wave 1 figures, I thought looked a little off. Like, even though he's clean shaven, he looks like his face is a little dirty. Like around his mouth and under his nose is just what is supposed to be kind of shadowing, I think. ends up looking like just kind of dirt on his face. I think this one is better in that regard, but it's still not perfect. So hopefully we continue to see improvements on that as more figures come out. But otherwise, the head is nice. Now the body here, so you can see he's got a tank top, and this piece here is removable. I wouldn't try to take it off, because you can see the sleeves here are part of the arm sculpt. So if you took this shirt off, it's not like he would just be in a blue tank top. He's still going to have the sleeves to the Hawaiian shirt there, so it really wouldn't work to take it off. So anyway, yeah, the tank top, we've seen that before. I believe Karak and Sergeant Slaughter had this. However, what is new is these sunglasses are clipped over his shirt, and those are part of the sculpt. So that is the piece that has been retooled. So yeah, there was no sunglasses on Karak or Slaughter. And it's kind of a shame that they're permanently attached to there. I don't mind them there, but it would have been nice to maybe give him an accessory of sunglasses that you could put over his eyes. Or, like, some people might have sunglasses in their collections from other toy lines. I know I do. Like one of the Destro figures came with some sunglasses. And in fact, maybe I'll grab those for a second and try them on to Vacation Condor here. So there you go. It's not a perfect fit. It's not too bad. But these are just the first sunglasses I thought of. There are lots of other options out there from other toy lines. So like, yeah, where you've got him in his Hawaiian shirt, you might want to display him with sunglasses, but now he looks kind of foolish wearing sunglasses while having another pair clipped to his shirt. So yeah, it's kind of a shame that that's a permanent part of the sculpt, but you know, what can you do? I don't really mind it, but anyway, and then the shirt. So this is the same removable vest piece that we've seen. Again, I think Karak and Slaughter came with it, but it was legitimately a vest on those figures. They had bare arms, so you know the shirt ended there. But this one here, they've painted this pattern on it, and they've given him these short sleeves from another figure. So now it looks like he's wearing like a kind of loose-fitting, short-sleeved Hawaiian shirt. And it's a really nice pattern over there. That's really well done. And looks cool. And then lastly, he's just got kind of his basic military pants on. Now they are different from here, where you can see he's got those military boots on and the knee pads ready for battle. This one here is a little more casual because he's probably walking along the beach or something. So he's just got kind of more standard, you know, cargo pants that are cuffed and hang over his like shoes. And we've seen these pants on other figures as well. I think maybe Trigger has these, and I think maybe Desert Rat, a couple other characters. So no real new pieces there. The gun, so I think this piece here slides out. I'm sure we've seen this gun with other figures. I can't tell you which one off the top of my head. It's a nice gun. I like it, so that works. And let's see, does he also have... Yeah, so he's got another smaller pistol here that's holstered on his leg. So, yeah, as far as articulation goes, these guys move really well. This is something that is improving as the line goes on. The articulation has always been good, but especially these early figures, they were really stiff when you took them out of the packaging. And I think they came with a little piece of paper that advised you should heat all the joints either with a hairdryer or dip them in warm water and kind of slowly work the joints. And when I first ordered my Kickstarter, which was I think 15 figures, I spent all night sitting out with my wife's hairdryer, you know, warming up his elbows, warming up his knees, warming up his ankles so I could pose all my figures. Now, I wouldn't go ahead and tell you that you don't need to do that. I don't want you to risk breaking your figure. But with all these newest figures that I'm going to talk about in this video, I didn't take the hairdryer to any of them. I was careful when I first moved them just to make sure the joints weren't stuck, but all of them moved pretty well. So I think Valaverse has improved on their construction of these figures. The joints are much easier to move. So yeah, he moves well. You can see here he's got the double jointed elbows, double jointed knees. That gives him a really nice, you know, range of motion, so he can get his arm pretty far back and like touch his shoulder. You know, he can kick his leg all the way back and pretty much kick his own butt. Yeah, so it looks good, moves well. You know, he's simple as far as accessories go, but as I mentioned, that's because he's kind of a basic, you know, promotional figure. I really like it. I should mention that as soon as this figure was announced, most people drew the comparison to Chuckles. Chuckles is the undercover agent on the G.I. Joe team, and he wears a Hawaiian shirt. So, yeah, as soon as you saw this, people thought Chuckles, and I think he is obviously inspired by Chuckles. We actually have a version of Chuckles in the classified line coming soon as well. So it'll be cool. Once I get my Chuckles, I can display him next to Condor. They can go undercover together or go on vacation together, or however you want to look at it. And the other thing that he's clearly inspired by is the Daniel Craig James Bond. When you first meet James Bond in Casino Royale, and he's wearing this kind of undercover outfit. So if you do a little split screen between this guy and the Daniel Craig outfit, you'll definitely see some similarities. I loved Daniel Craig. I loved Casino Royale. So that's a pretty cool homage that you get with this figure as well. So I think I've talked enough about this guy. Very cool. I like it. Casey, what do you think of that one? Do you like Condor? Do you like Condor? Is he good? Yeah? Yeah, he's good? Okay. Good girl. Good girl. So next up, we have Warpath Eclipse. So I kind of already showed you the box for this character a minute ago. I will put in a split screen here of some footage I shot of her while she was still in her box. But anyway, I'm going to bring that out here again just so we can quickly see it. But basically, yeah, the file card on the back with some new artwork, the action points. So I'm not going to read through, but it gives you all of her background there. Then there is, a nice shot of the toy and some more artwork there as well. Action Force on the side. There's that original artwork on the side as well. And then the front. Now, it's got this really kind of cool pattern. So this is different from the other Action Force boxes. So you've got this kind of, I don't know, like diamond or arrowhead pattern along the side. And then you've got around here, you've got some, I guess, I'm guessing this is maybe Native American inspired artwork because you've got like kind of the dream catcher with the feathers there. So yeah, much more going on this box than on the standard figure box. But anyway, yeah, this is a really cool figure. So when Bobby Valla first launched his initial Kickstarter, and he had a series of figures, and the way Kickstarters work is usually there's a couple of, a basic assortment, say, or so when it comes to action figure lines, he needs to meet a minimum goal and he'll make X amount of figures. So with Kickstarter, I think it was like there was maybe 5 figures if he reached, let's just say $50,000. And then if he reached $70,000, it would unlock a new character. So the more and more money he, collected from backers, the more and more figure opportunities there were. So Eclipse was one of the figures they showed in the initial Kickstarter, and she was one of my favorites. I would say her and Pandora, which is another female character, were the two I was most looking forward to. So I was a little disappointed when the initial Kickstarter didn't fund, and then when Bobby brought it back a second time, he eliminated the female characters because to make the line more affordable, he wanted to do more reused parts. And so a lot of the male characters reused the same pieces over and over again, and that allowed him to achieve his goal a little bit easier. But as the line found more success after Wave 2 came out, then what he did was the entirety of Wave 3 was all female characters, and that's where we got Eclipse version 1, which is this figure here. And I think this is a great figure. I really love it. You can see her outfit here, the way she has the armored vest, the boots and everything. Like she's not exact match for her Action Force teammate Condor here, but they definitely have some consistency. They would look really good on the battlefield together. And yeah, just a really great figure design. I really like the head on her. I would say that the digital face printing still wasn't perfect. Like she looks a little dead-eyed, especially from certain angles. I really like that braid in her hair there. That looks really good with the little barrette. Anyway, I was really, really pleased with this figure. I still am. I think it's great. But for a convention exclusive this year, Bobby Vala announced that he was going to do a Eclipse version 2, what he calls Warpath Eclipse. And this is her here. So she has some Native American roots, as described on her file card. And so she's really leaning into that here with this version here. She's got this war paint on her face. I really love how that's applied. The way it's not like a really clean application. You can see it kind of leads into a spray on her forehead. So this isn't supposed to be glamour makeup. You know, this is stuff that she slapped onto her face here. Looks really cool. Her eyes really stand out amongst all that black. Otherwise, it's the same head sculpt. It might look a little different with the face paint, but it's the same. And she has a lot of the same parts. You'll notice she's got the same scarf, the same vest, but it's all painted differently now. And the pants, the boots, those are all the same. But one thing you will notice, which is really cool, is that this version here had sleeves. She is now sleeveless, and you can see now all the ink she's got over here. So she's got a full sleeve tattoo, and these are some of the designs that we saw on the box. So those feathers and everything there. Very cool. And then the tattoo looks like it carries over up onto her shoulder there. And I'm sure if you took her vest off, you'd get a better look at what's going on under there, but I'm always a little scared to take these vests off. They do come off. I think there's probably a seam along here, so you could undo that seam, but then I find it really difficult to get those pegs back into place, so I'm just going to leave mine alone. You can see that she's got a knife here, you know, multiple paint apps on the knife, which is nice, so that can get sheathed there. She's also got another little pistol. Then she's got this little hatchet, which is pretty cool. Again, multiple paint apps on there. She's got a couple clips that go into these pouches on her vest. Then she's got this gun. Again, multiple paint apps there. Just really great. And again, articulation-wise, double jointed, knees and elbows, moves very well. No issues with her being stiff when I took her out of the box. Didn't have to heat her up or anything. Anyway, very, very pleased with this figure. Now, she did come with some extra hands, as is customary for Action Force figures. So she's got open hands, closed fist. You'll also see she's got a couple of extra ammo clips there. I don't think I have anywhere else to put them. Like, she's already storing the 2 extra clips on her pouches, and then she's got a removable clip in her gun already. So I don't know, maybe there's somewhere else you can tuck those things, but I don't think so. But then she also came with a couple of extra heads. So this figure also came with an alternate head. So you see she's got her scarf with this pattern on it. She also came with a head where the scarf was wrapped around her head. This one comes with the same alternate head. So you see she's got an all blue scarf. So we get this head here, which has got the blue scarf all wrapped around her head. And then she's still wearing that dark black eye makeup on there. So yeah, very cool look. Yeah, I really dig that. And you know, you could argue to maybe say, well, since I've got this version with her face showing, maybe this one here, I should take advantage of the secondary head. But even though those heads are the same, this one just looks so good with that war makeup applied. I can't bring myself to display this one. It's almost worth buying another figure so you could use this head. I really like it. But then this figure came with an additional head that this one didn't come with, which is also, it's a very cool idea. So this here is, I guess we'll just call it a screaming head or an angry head. So you can see here she's showing a lot of emotion. This one here where she looked a little dead-eyed, this one here is the opposite of that. She is pissed. And it looks really good. It's really well done. Like the sculpt and the paint of like her open mouth with the teeth and the tongue and everything looks really good. However, I just personally am not a big fan of these expressive faces. I like a more neutral expression on my action figures, so I'm not going to display it with this. When Bobby Vala first unveiled this head, he said that he was seeing all kinds of people posting, you know, action shots on Instagram of his action figures. He would see pictures of people holding the machine guns and, you know, machine gun fire spraying out of the gun because you can get little translucent blast effects to plug into the ends of the rifle. But it looked a little silly almost to have somebody blasting away at a machine gun with all kinds of bullets flying, and then just to be staring straight ahead, all dead-eyed like that. So he really wanted to include these heads for those folks that like to do the dioramas and the action shots. So it makes total sense, but I'm not that guy, so I don't really need this. But one thing he did do is for some of the other female characters, he released angry yelling heads with them as well, along with some extra accessories like new guns and new knives and stuff. And he's selling the heads and the knives and guns as add-on packs. So I forget what he's charging for them, maybe like 10 or 15 bucks US. But yeah, if you have other characters like Pandora or Killswitch and you want to upgrade them into kind of more of an angry expression, a little more emotive, then yeah, you could buy those add-on packs. So yeah, I think that's probably all I have to say about this one. I really like it. It looks great. Convention exclusive, but fortunately also available on the Valaverse website. It did sell out very quickly, but I think he has already restocked her once and has announced plans to restock her again. So yeah, if you missed out on the convention, don't worry about it. There should be opportunities to purchase Warpath Eclipse in the future. Hey Casey, what do you think of Eclipse? Is Eclipse good? She good? You like her? Thumbs up? Yeah, we'll take that as a yes. Oh, she's wagging. Yeah, that's a yes. So this last figure is called the Swarm Horde Trooper, and he actually came in a unique, larger box than the other figures. And I've already thrown out the box, but about a month ago, I did shoot some footage of this toy in the box. So I'm going to quickly cut to that footage, and then we'll come back here and we'll take a closer look at the figure outside the box. So I'm up here in my living room shooting this probably days, if not weeks earlier than I'm posting this video. I'm up here because I'm doing renovations downstairs. Anyways, I wanted to show you this figure in the box now so that I can open him up and finally play around with him. I've had him already for a couple of weeks sitting inside the packaging. So this here is the first, I believe, deluxe Action Force figure from Valaverse. So we have had like lots of single figures. We've had some convention exclusives, but they always came in just kind of a standard box. We have had some accessories for sale that kind of came separately, like the original Swarm Trooper you could buy as the figure, and then you could buy his backpack with the wings separately. But this here is the first time that we're getting basically a double-sized box with the figure and a bunch of accessories at a new price point. So this was originally released at PowerCon, which is a He-Man convention. And the reason why this character's name is the Swarm Horde, because this color scheme of gray, black, and red is supposed to tie into the Horde faction of Masters Universe. So that would be like Hordak and Leech and Mantenna, all those guys. So yeah, but mostly he's supposed to kind of look like Hordak, hence the name and the color scheme. So very cool. He looks like he probably shares the Swarm Trooper body from the neck down. And then this appears to be a brand new head. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. I'll probably be able to have a stronger opinion on it once I've had him out of the package and I've actually had some time to look at it. But I do think the head is kind of strange, to be honest with you. Anyway, he's got the backpack with the wings. He's got a cool red translucent stand. So that's a first. And then he's got extra hands, extra guns. Yeah, pretty cool. On the back of the box, got a lot of action poses of the figure itself. And then he's got a file card, just as all the Action Force figures do, just like the G.I. Joe figures did back in the day. We've also got some action points. So I think this is the first time that a figure has had 5 action points. And when Action Force first came out, we didn't really know what those action points were going to be for, but Bobby Valla, the creator of these toys, told us to hold on to them just in case. And I think I'm going to be talking about those in this same episode, if I haven't already. So we'll talk more about those in a bit. But anyway, yeah, and then there's some artwork on the side of the box, so you kind of see half of the Swarm Trooper. And then on the other side of the packaging, it's the other half of the Swarm Trooper, and he's kind of holding his gun up there. So, you know, that's kind of like one complete piece cut into 2. And yeah, overall, it's a nice presentation. And yeah, so we're going to pop him open and take a closer look at him outside of the box. So we're back, and here is the Swarm Horde Trooper. I don't think I really talked about it when I was showing you the box, but here is his file card. So I did have to cut this off of the box. He also came with a whopping 5 action points. So that will be useful when if Bobby Vala runs another promotion, which I imagine he will at some point. So I did cut those off as well. But yeah, this gives you all the background on the Swarm Trooper. So yeah, pretty cool. I like the Swarm Trooper a lot. I talked about them a little bit in that last footage. So in Wave 1 of Action Force, we get the original Swarm Trooper. So they've got this kind of like bee or wasp motif, I guess. And I really like the translucent yellow eyes with that kind of honeycomb pattern on them. Very cool. It's a little unclear if these guys are like robots or are they soldiers or what. Anyway, when you bought this figure, he came with a gun and a display base and all that stuff. I guess I have forgot to mention that with the other 2 figures. All of these Action Force figures come with display bases, and sometimes they're different colors. So Condor's was kind of a gray, and Warpath Eclipse was kind of a gunmetal gray. This guy, he had the translucent yellow, which is very cool. And for this guy here, you'll see he's got this shield and he's got this backpack with these wings. So this was a separate piece you had to buy. So it had its own separate cost. So to get this figure as it looks now, it did cost, quite a bit more because the figure was like in the $30 range. And then the pack, I want to say, was like another $20 or so. So it was about $50 to get this guy to look the way he does. Now, we did get another version of the Swarm Trooper a while back, and he came with all the pieces together. So he came with the backpack, with the blue wings, and everything else. This guy here was a BotCon exclusive, so he was only available at the Transformers convention, I want to say 2 years ago now. But he's painted to look like a Transformer character, Waspinator, which is why he's painted this way. So he's very cool. But they managed to fit this pack. I think it was all in a standard smaller packaging, but they still charged you the premium price. So this time around, now we get the premium price, but we also get the premium box. It allows you to display everything in the box a little bit better if you are one of those in-box collectors. Since I've got the other guys there for comparison, I might as well bring up this guy. This is the other version of the Swarm. This is the Swarm Sentry. They did not make a pack available for him with like gold wings or anything. I don't know if there's any plan to do that in the future. You could always buy one of the yellow packs, on its own and attach yellow wings to this guy, but I'm fine with this guy just being a ground trooper. Anyway, so the Swarm Trooper. Like I said, I think his body from the neck down is the same as all these other guys. When I look at his arms, his legs, his boots, they're that fully armored legs, and he's got this armored chest piece. So yeah, appears to be the exact same from the neck down. The shield, the wings, translucent red display base, which looks really cool. So those are all the same as you would get in the deluxe weapons pack when you buy the Swarm pack. So very cool. Now, one thing I am a little bit confused by is the head. I personally really like this look with the big bug-like eyes, and I really wish that this guy just came with a standard head, just like this, except with translucent red eyes. But instead they gave us this brand new head. Now, normally I'd be all for that. The thing is, I just don't really like this head. I don't really understand what's going on. Like the yellowy, kind of off-white part on the bottom, it doesn't look like, I don't know what kind of material that would supposed to be. It doesn't look metal. It doesn't look cloth. It looks kind of lazily painted, if you ask me. And I do understand what they're trying to go for, which I'll talk about in a second, but it just looks a little off to me. And I wouldn't mind if they gave you this head, as an alternate head with one of these as well. But they didn't. This is the only head you get, and that's too bad. Because they have announced a future Swarm Trooper that's coming, and I think he's the glow-in-the-dark version. And in that version, so you get the same body again with some glow-in-the-dark plastic, but you're going to get this head, that head, as well as the Scarab head, which is another type of Swarm Trooper with a different head sculpt. So 3 different head sculpts, so you could display the glow-in-the-dark guy however you want. I really think that's a great option for collectors, plus it will kind of encourage collectors to buy multiples of the glow-in-the-dark guy, because you could display it with the different heads. I really wish they'd taken that same approach here, but they didn't. But it's pretty hard to complain about this figure otherwise, because I already loved the base figure. When this first Swarm Trooper came out 2 years ago, it was my #2 toy of the year. So I think very highly of them. I like the sculpt, I like the playability, I like the accessories, all that stuff. Very, very cool. So I did mention in my last little bit there that this guy was a PowerCon exclusive, which is a little odd, but I guess no more odd than the fact that this guy was a TransformerCon exclusive. So this guy here, he was a He-Man exclusive, so they painted him in He-Man-like colors. So he is supposed to look like Hordak here, who is the leader of the evil horde. So this is where that yellow on the face comes from. They're trying to mimic the color of Hordak's head here. And you can definitely see how these guys could tie together. You know, I could see a whole swarm of these guys, a whole squad being led by Hordak. It works color-wise. But yeah, I still don't really understand what, other than the color, it just looks strange to me as a sculpt. It's kind of a non-distinct face. But anyway, a cool idea, and I appreciate them kind of thinking outside the box and giving us things, because there are people out there that still like to kind of knock Action Force as just being a ripoff of G.I. Joe. And when they do characters like Covert Ops Condor, which kind of looks like he's just ripping off Chuckles, you know, I definitely get that criticism or that commentary. But when he does something like this, something that G.I. Joe hasn't done before, this just feels very original, very cool. I like it a lot. Very pleased. Casey, wake up. We finished our video. Yeah, it's all done. So that was my review of my newest Action Force figures. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and come back for more videos. Check out some of my prior videos, you know, all that stuff. And yeah, leave me comments below. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.